There are some seed exchanges out there, Seed Savers Exchange and things like that, where people have seeds to trade or have heirloom seeds available at a moderate price. But quite honestly, if you work as many hours as I do, I'm just glad to be able to get out and garden. I have a little headlamp that I use a lot of the time because I end up working in the garden after dark. But there are some neat things, some neat organizations out there. Probably find them online, and you may get into trading seed back and forth.
Dirt Doctor has.
Dirt Doctor has? Okay, very good. Yes, ma'am.
If you buy a packet of seeds and you don't use them all, is there any way you can save them?
Put them in a jar in the refrigerator. Some keep better than others, but most of them will be good for a year or two or three. Not all of them. I don't know if you've noticed that we have, generally in the spring, past couple of years, we've had a lot of Hinckley's Columbine to sell, more than we've ever had before. It's because our grower, he was a real good guy, but every time I'd see him, he'd bitch about how lousy the germination was on his Columbine seed. So I called one of our suppliers up in Denver, where we get a lot of our bedding plants, and said, Al, how do you do so well with Columbine? He said, oh, the secret is to plant really fresh seed. Just the opposite of what a certain other person on the radio was recommending about Columbine seed, which my friend was following. And he said, okay, I'll try it. And he said every seed he planted came up, and so consequently he's been overwhelmed with Columbine seedlings, and we've had lots of Hinckley's Columbine the past 2 years. So some seed seems to do much, much better if it's very fresh. Most seed is good for 2 or 3 years at least.
That's the only thing you can do to possibly save them.
That's all that I know of. All that I know of. The one thing that you should expect is that the germination rates will go down. If you plant fresh seed, maybe 95% of it grows. The next year, maybe 85% of it grows. 3 years from now, maybe 50% of it grows. But in most cases, at least some of it will grow. Yes, sir?
Bush beans need any support like strings?
No. No, but it's too late for bush beans.
We've got some.
Oh, okay. Well, if yours are up and growing, very good. No, I don't fool with any support on bush beans.
We're going to make shade on these.
Yeah.
How do you tell if the seeds are fresh or are there dates?
There's a date stamped on the package. Of course, there's a seed company no longer in business. Used to be in San Antonio that I talked to somebody that worked there, and they said all the seed that because most seed companies work out a deal with the nurseries where they'll take back the seed at the end of the year if you didn't sell it. And he said they would get all that seed that they'd taken back and sit there and then open it and dump it into a big box, get it up back in the packages with next year's date on it. So, I don't know. Yes.
I'm here because of I live with my daughter between Houston and Galveston, and I go to the Harris County Master Gardener sale twice a year. They sell the organic fertilizer. Is that
Good.
a good?
I don't know which one they sell.
I can't think of the name.
There are lots of organic fertilizers out there. I do not. Yeah, I do not like Huactinite. Thank you guys for coming. I don't like Huactinite. Huactinite is Houston sewage sludge. I don't like Milorganite. Milorganite is Milwaukee sewage sludge. I don't like Alamo Grove, which is San Antonio sewage sludge. But
I know the name if I hear it, but I can't think.
Okay, the ones that I like best, Medina Granular Organic. For the money, I think is the best fertilizer on the market.
Would I get it in my area? Or?
You certainly should. Unless you wanted to load up with it and take it back. I know somewhere has a pretty good supply of it. There is a company called Ladybug up out of Austin that makes excellent organic fertilizers. They're a little pricey, but Ladybug fertilizer is excellent.
Would be more apt to find them in a home-owned nursery or
more likely in an independent nursery, but you'll find most organic products in an independent nursery. Another one which is very good is Texas Tea, a company called Maestro Grow. We order it for people, but again, the big difference, well, one difference between Maestro Grow and, say, Medina. Medina uses a poultry litter base. I mean, it's got chicken poop in it, literally, is one of its primary ingredients. Some people say, I want a fertilizer with no manure whatsoever in it. Well, then you go to a product like Maestro Grow that derives all of its nitrogen from alfalfa and some of the other meals and things like that. And Maestro Grow is very good fertilizer, but it is more expensive. partly because of our government's idiocy over this ethanol issue. Stupidest idea that ever came along, but don't get me started on that. It takes 15 barrels of oil to produce 16 barrels of ethanol, and I just really don't get that. And what it has done is drive corn prices through the roof. Everything that eats corn or is made from corn has tripled in the past year in price. And Webster products have a lot of corn products in them, so the price has gone way up. But there's a brand called Nature's Guide, which I think is just fine as fertilizer goes. The Webster products like Texas Tea are very good fertilizers. But anyway, you're welcome to call me when you see the name of this, and I tell it like I see it. I mean, I'll call brand names by name, and I do this on the air too. It's Medina Granular Organic is the one I like best. Yes, ma'am.
What is the worm story?
The worm story.
What is that?
Okay. Worm poop, sold as worm castings or worm compost, is the product. It's what comes out of the digestive tract of an earthworm. It is very low in true nutrients. It doesn't have a lot of nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium in it, or micronutrients, but it has a lot of biological life. An earthworm's gut is full of beneficial bacteria, especially. And the earthworm castings are just pure organic material. They are absolutely wonderful if you can afford them. But, you know, for a bag of fertilizer that costs $20, an equivalent amount of worm castings would probably cost $50.
Well, if you make those farms they're talking about.
Sure. You make a worm bed as big as this building, you know, you'll get 10 bags of worm castings a year off of it. It's wonderful stuff. I love worm castings. They're absolutely outstanding. And when I win the lottery, I'll use a lot more of them. But I'm kind of like that old Texas rancher that won $20 million in the lottery, and somebody asked him what he was going to do with it. Thought a couple of minutes and said, well, I guess I'll just go on ranch until it's gone. Yeah, the ranching business in Texas. Yes, ma'am.
We were in Illinois before we moved here 3 years ago. And somebody had a worm farm, and they sold that stuff for $50 for a pickup truck.
Drive back to Illinois and bring me as much as you can haul.
You could sell it for a fortune here.
We've noticed how expensive it is in bags.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of doing, we might call multi-cropping. There are a number of people nowadays that are raising rabbits and selling the rabbits for meat, and using the rabbit poop to raise earthworms, and selling the earthworm castings for a fair amount of money, and then selling excess worms for fish bait, or, you know, people that do what is called vermiculture. Clever ideas.
What is your opinion on cow manure?
What is my opinion of cow manure? Unlike horse manure, cow manure is pretty much free of weed seed, because, you know, when a horse eats something, let's just say it goes through its digestive tract very quickly and comes out the other end of the horse, still with seeds that are capable of sprouting and things like that. It's why horses eat 4 times as much as cows do. Cattle have a series of stomachs, so to speak, where things are more thoroughly digested. And cow manure, for the most part, is good organic material, but very little fertilizer content. It has been so well digested that it has very little nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium. Unfortunately, nowadays, there is a lot of deadly cow manure out there that will kill everything in your garden if you put it in there. And that's because an awful lot of ranchers raising hay spray their hay to kill the weeds that are growing in the hay. They spray with a product called picloram. Sold under names like Grazon and P plus D and a lot of other things. And, you know, non-thinking people think it's wonderful. You spray it out there on the hay and it kills all the weeds and the hay continues to grow. So what's wrong with it? Well, nothing in nature breaks it down. And it sees every plant in the world as a weed except for grasses. And anything you put it on, it's going to kill. It's going to kill your vegetables, it's going to kill your lettuce, it's going to kill your oak trees, it's going to kill your shrubs. Anything you put picloram on except a grass dies. So, the cow eats the grass that is coated with picloram. Picloram doesn't change. It comes right out in the manure. And everywhere you put the manure, it kills everything except the grass. Until people figured out what was going on, it almost ruined the compost industry in California, because half the people were out there saying compost is the most wonderful thing in the world, and everybody that put it out, it killed everything except the grass. And they're saying, no, compost is very bad. Drive through South Texas and look out in the pasture where there are a lot of cattle, and you see a bunch of big dead oak trees out there. Well, the cattle are walking around eating this hay, eating this grass. And cows, well, they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. When they want to take a nap, they go lie down in the shade. What's the first thing they do when they stand up from their